It is Friday, August 2nd, and everything is like super wet. We had a lot of rain over the last couple of days. 2 days ago, the city about 5 miles north of here, Ottawa, they got 8 to 12 inches all like immediately, and it flooded the town and whatnot. So I feel bad for them, but a lot of rain was dropped on both of the farms, and one got 6 and one got 7 inches, but that's a ton of rain, and especially the timing that it came. It just came all at once. The good part is we got tons of rain, and the ground was very dry, and we were just at that point. The timing of it was absolutely perfect because the tassels came out and then it started to silk. So as you can see, you look out there and you see nothing but tassels, and trust me, there are silks down below as well. You just can't see them as readily. And the amount of rain we got was awesome. It saturated the ground. Everything is very, very wet right now. And actually, you could see we have some standing water, which isn't always good. And we've also got some lodging. That's where the corn lays down. Typically, that's a very bad thing. But I think in this particular case, it will probably stand back up or learn to grow that way. It's real hard to harvest if it does stay down that way. And so here's an example of one that you can see the roots there, and it just got tipped over, but it has started to grow up the correct way. Another really cool thing is this corn plant is got to be 8 foot tall, and it has put on 2 beautiful ears, and it's starting a 3rd one. Now, some varieties of corn put on 2 ears, some only do 1. Most popcorns just do 1. But it's a real good sign of fertility and health if they put on a 2nd or try to grow a 3rd, as in this case, because it won't do it. If it's too dry or they don't have enough nutrients or whatever, the plant's smart. It's going to put as much into the very first cob that it makes because it needs to create seed to grow the next generation. But if there's extra, if there's an abundance, it'll put on a 2nd ear. And when things are really, really good, you'll see a 3rd ear. So we've gotten very lucky this year. This corn plant is really, really good. Its stalk is real thick and real hardy. This is the 3rd ear. Pretty cool. These 2 will actually come true, and we'll harvest both of them. The silks are gigantic, by the way. Some of them are red and white like that. Some are bright red. I don't know, it reminds me of doll's hair. Nature always amazes me. This is a end row, very weedy, sorry. But this corn plant, which is, I'm gonna call it 6.5, 7 feet, has put on 3 different ears. As you can see, I'll go from a different angle. Here's 1, 2, and 3. And when you look at it, I mean, that's pretty beefy for right away. This guy's a little bit smaller, but and this 3rd one is actually bigger than the 2nd one, with the first one being the biggest. It's just amazing to me how it was able to do that, especially on an end row, because the end rows are typically tough to grow. And I don't know, I'm amazed. Look at the size of this ear. I mean, it's big for right now, and then it's got a 2nd little guy right there. Starts of a 3rd that won't come out. I'm telling you, and I'm on the edge of the field right now, but it still is amazing what you see, what you find out here. I think that's cool. Red, white, right next to each other. We'll see if those pollinate each other. Man, this is awesome. So variable heights, some of them are only 5 or 6 feet tall. So there are a lot of reasons for the variability in corn and how it grows, or really probably any crop, but specifically the corn, like right around here, is not doing that awesome, and it probably won't mature. Now, it's a small section, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but it's always curious to me why this did not do well. And I suspect in this particular spot that it had standing water for a while, early on that stunted the growth of the corn. And I was asking neighboring farmers why my other field to the north, that's an 80-acre field, but 70 is planted in popcorn, seemed to be like a week or two behind this field. And I'm at the Finney farm right now. But the answer was that field was much more wet in the early days of the corn growth. So it just got off to a stunted growth. This particular variety of corn probably just didn't like to have wet feet, as one farmer said. And I think he's right, because everything else was the same. They're a mile or two apart, maybe 3 miles at most. But basically, rainfall was very similar in nutrition, the fertilization, and the seeds are exactly the same. So, you know, that's part of the variety or the variability that comes with farming. And there's luck, there's science, there's a little bit of everything involved with it. So it is a gamble, and you apply yourself as best you can, put all the information you have, try to get ahead of things whenever possible, plan, but at the end of the day, it's always a gamble. And this year, luckily, knock on wood, it's paying off for me, and paying off nicely. We're gonna have a really nice harvest, I predict. I haven't always had that same feeling throughout this growing season. Of course, I was worried. This is my first commercial crop, first big crop coming out of the ground, but it has worked out really, really nicely to this point. Anything could happen, but I just thank my lucky stars that the first year has been successful to this point. This area I'm in right here is a little bit shorter corn. It has tassels, but I don't see any ears on any of these corn plants. But the tassels are here, and I'll try to shake this and break off some pollen so you can see it. Same case here. I hope you can see it fall. You can see some of it right there on the leaf. Not those, but the little powder stuff. And as the wind comes and shakes that loose, it's supposed to fall down onto the ears that are down below with silks. Look at all that corn. It's not super bad, but I've got a little bit of an issue with drainage at this particular part. That's not good, because it's erosion and it's just gonna continue. But it's manageable. If you look at all the property, all the acreage that are coming down, and just to have a problem like this is probably actually pretty good. This field here is terraced. And I just came out of this little area right in here where I see a silk right there, but most of those didn't have ears on them. They tasseled out but didn't have ears. It's amazing. I walk right in here and now they start up again. So I think that area back there that didn't have any ears on were stunted or affected somehow, seeing how there's just tons of water there always. Do you hear the cicada? Do you have those where you're at? If you do, comment. Or if you don't even know what it is, comment on that too. I don't really mind them. Sometimes they can get to be a little loud, but generally speaking, they remind me of pleasant times in the summer. Now here's some bean stubble from last year that has washed down into this area, soft and spongy, which, I mean, it's fine, it's gonna break down, but actually it's better than walking through mud right now. But this corn's doing fine. Corn is a survivor. That stalk got snapped right there. The plant fell over at that snap, and it continues to feed the plant. It tilts back up towards the sun. I'm on the edge of the field, but there's this plant, which is morning glory, and the reason you don't want it, it's kind of a jack and the beanstalk case. I mean, it's all the way up, and it's gonna strangle this corn here. Obviously it's not worth me pulling it off this one because it really doesn't matter, but it is interesting to note that this is probably a very, very underdeveloped ear. So for the Instagram followers specifically, I posted a picture of this one little corn plant that's out, way out of the row. Seed probably just drifted, but today it's not going to make it, or not going to make any seed, but it has split into, it's really odd, split into like 3 different sprouts, and it's got some baby ears on it and whatnot, but it's a mutant corn plant. So there's the update. Back here in the southwest corner, this corn, I would say right in this area, is pretty horrible. It won't yield. So there's no tassels, no ears, no nothing. As soon as I say that, there's a tassel, but it's pretty weak. So don't know why, but I did come across that. So a little button, apparently. Who knows off of what or how old or whatever, but I like finding interesting things. I literally can't believe how much corn is out here as I just walk through the fields. I really feel like the richest man in Franklin County. Just awash in corn and popcorn, actually. The best popcorn. See some stalks down below me that are lodged. But as you look behind me, it seems to probably get gigantic in relation, but that's just a figment of your imagination. You're actually seeing it correctly, but that is a terrace. So I'm gaining elevation now as I climb the terrace. But I'll give you a look-see here as we go walking through the corn. We keep getting bigger and bigger, and actually this corn is looking really, really awesome. Keeps getting taller and taller. My arm is stretched out completely above my head right now. What do we have here? So who knows what happened here? Really, this is probably like a 12-foot circle of corn that's washed down like that. I don't really see a ton of water flow. I see some coming through here, but it's just really weird. That's the way it is sometimes. You never know. But you can see silks, tassels all over. So pretty cool stuff. I'm very, very happy, very pleased. I gotta make sure I don't get my eyeballs cut by the corn plants. But it is, it's amazing, nature's bounty, really. It's just, you know, Kansas and the United States and everything we can do with hybrid seed. That's different than genetically modified, by the way. A lot of people know that, a lot of people don't. But hybrid seed is just a mixture of 2 different varieties of naturally existing seed. And if you think about it, you're a hybrid of your mom and your dad. So you take parts of your mom, parts of your dad, that makes up you. And depending on what parts of what parent you get, well, it shows you what you end up being. Or in a lot of cases, or this type of corn, basically, there's the mom plant and the dad plant, and they intentionally breed the moms to the dads so that they get hybrid vigor or heterosis. So essentially, the goal is to get the better parts of the mom, the better parts of the dad for a superior plant, a superior baby. And the trick is that's an F1 hybrid. And if you plant that seed again, you won't get the hybrid vigor. You won't get the heterosis. You get completely wild results. So in this field here, technically, as you go around, pretty much all these plants are very, very, very similar because they were bred that way. But if you take the result of these plants, the popcorn that I'm going to actually pop and sell, but if you just planted those again, you would get varying results, and honestly not good results, because the predictability is gone and the hybrid vigor or heterosis goes because of mutations. You know, it's just this plant breeds with that plant and it's unplanned. Some definite lodging. This is on the south side of the farm. It's not real good, but it's not good that it happened, but it's really not that bad of lodging. Stay up to date on the progress of the Princeton Popcorn Company by visiting my YouTube channel It's youtube.com/TheRobertRalph. And make sure you subscribe and click the bell for notifications. Liking the Facebook page is important too. I post a lot up there, and some fun Instagram pictures here and there as well. So be sure to follow me on Instagram.